The White House prepares for two major issues that's going on right now. They issue an alert on one situation, a true stark warning from them. And then they also say we're going to prepare for something on October 1st. We're going to talk about both these stories today because they both go hand in hand with your safety. One is dealing with the fact of how your government's running and how your tax dollars are, being spent, which is ridiculous. The secondarily one is one that we should have handled already. But because there was a gap in Trump's administration where Biden served, a lot of things have taken place. If you notice, Trump said last week, we want to take Bagram. And everybody thought that was kind of out of left field. It makes a lot more sense today. Let's dive into these stories today because they are huge. Then we're also going to talk about what the vice president said. We're also going to talk about other big players and what they said about what's going on, dealing with this new warning from the White House and also the fact that they said prepare because it's coming. We'll talk about that, what is happening on October 1st. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Also remember my vlog channel, we post about 2 or 3 times a week, Life with Colby Mac. Go check it out because you start seeing this life and how we live it sustainable and prep, how we grow these pumpkins and things like that. Also, I've been restored back on Facebook and on Instagram, and of course I'm on Twitter. So on Twitter I'm the Colby Mac, on Instagram Real Colby Mac, and then of course on Facebook Colby Mac. Check me out because I share a lot of my family and you see just life and how we do it, and the purpose of what we do is, yes, that we live in a very grim reality, however we can still find the light in it. So go check those channels out and go check those social media presence out. Now let's jump into the stories today because that's why you're here. First, let's talk about this situation with October 1st, and then we'll maneuver onto the secondary warning that Trump administration just put out. First, let's talk about October 1st. September 30th is a government shutdown. Basically, this is something that should happen. I agree. Everybody, whoever's in power, if it's the Democrats or Republicans, they're always in favor of not shutting the government down. The opposition party is, because of their fighting and having leverage over certain issues. Well, let's talk about what the Democrats actually want. And I believe Trump did the right thing and just said, I'm just not even going to meet with them. And I'm going to tell you what the White House said prepare for to see October 1st, after I tell you exactly what Schumer is wanting. It says, Schumer and Jeffries are demanding basically free health care for illegal aliens. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have been very clear that they are looking to not give any more money to law enforcement. They will not fund any more military. They want to utilize this funds and the tax dollars for free health care, not just for Americans, but for all illegal immigrants. I want you to ask yourself this. When we don't have any money in America, and don't get me wrong, I know we're making money. I'm not saying that we don't have money. I'm saying we have debt up to our eyeballs. So the only way that we actually look like we have money and look like things are going well is because our dollar is stabilized to a point and we keep spending and printing money for us to then consume and then to us to keep spending and printing money. Meaning it revolves around debt, it revolves around people, taxation, it revolves around us spending our money and not saving our money. So we're in a situation where it looks like everything's going okay. Stock market's doing great, crypto's okay, gold's skyrocketing, but the bottom line is we're in debt up to our eyeballs. Do you think it's wise that we keep funding a government that has pretty much wasted all our money? Do you think it's wise that we keep funding a government that pretty much has gotten rich off us? Do you think it's wise that we should give money to the government and then blow it and then put it on frivolous things like on people that's not even American, when they've done nothing but waste our tax dollars over the last 40, 50, 60 years when we talk about getting off the gold standard? So I'm in favor of this government shutdown, honestly. I wish we would shut the government down. Here's another thing that I think would be good, and Trump is now using this as leverage because now he's got the Democrats going on television that Trump's the fault, because Trump said, look, I'm not even meeting with you. Until you sign the letter of intent to come meet with me, you're not even welcome. I even love the fact that Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries both said, well, we want Thune and Johnson there because they know they're pushovers, they know they're weak. So Trump said, I'm not even going to give you that request. It's me you're meeting with. I thought that was a straight up boss move. Honestly, I think that was probably the strongest move he could have done. And then said, look, I'm not even getting you in my office until we get together on what we want Because remember, last time Schumer tried to do this, I mean, really Trump embarrassed him right in front of the media. And I don't think that Schumer wants that again. So I think this is a great move from Trump. But basically, I love what Trump and the White House is doing. And again, I'm sorry if you're a government worker that's involved in this, but I do believe this is the way. We have to get rid of how big government is. Listen to this. It says, breaking. Politico is reporting that White House has instructed federal agencies to prepare for a massive firing and layoff if the government shuts down. They said, we truly don't want the government to shut down. But they said, if the Democrats shut this government down, we're firing a mass load of people across several agencies. Some will be furloughed, some will be laid off. He said, but then we're having a massive firing. He said, if we're going to get leaner and we're going to cut our budget and then we're going to cut spending, we're going to first cut people. And I know you may not like that, especially if you're one of those jobs, because remember, over 50% of the government, over 50% of America has some form of government funding coming in, or government pensions coming in, or they work for the government. It's sad. It's sad that we've allowed our government to get this big. So I actually think shutdown is good because it helps us figure out the best way forward. I think the tariffs are good. I think the markets are doing great. I love what Trump is doing. Trump, with NVIDIA's and Intel situation of the day, we rolled another $5 billion in just quick money from NVIDIA, just like that, because we were willing to negotiate. This TikTok thing, even though I'm not a big TikTok fan, they kicked me off. I'm still pretty much banned over there. The one thing I love what he did is he said, I'm going to be the negotiator between it, so therefore you've got to pay the U.S. to make sure this takes place. This is how we get out of this debt. You may not like some of this leverage that he's using, but you have to realize, if we don't do something about our debt, if we don't do something about our spending, your children and grandchildren will grow up in a world that they don't even know, led by people that they don't even trust. And truthfully, we're almost to that point now. But if you all of a sudden say we're going to destabilize the dollar, or we're going to have a major reset, it's going to ruin America. So Trump is saying, look, we're going to massively fire all these people that's working for the government if Democrats keep trying to shut it down. And until they get to the drawing board to say we're not going to give free health care to illegal immigrants, people who's not even here, we're not even having a discussion. I think that's awesome. We'll see what happens on October 1st. Now, before we talk about this very serious issue when it comes to Afghanistan and Bagram, there's a warning that the White House just put out and said you need to prepare for the worst. Now, what is he talking about? Before we do that, a word from today's sponsor, Chapter. Now, you're getting closer to the period of open enrollment. This is a time where Medicare and a lot of seniors are trying to figure out what's best for them. They're trying to figure out what best plan fits their budget, what supplements best fit their budget. Can I make it on this? This medication costs this. It's a lot of questions. Well, today you need to reach out to Chapter. This number below, call them, and there's a link in the description. What they're here for is to work for you for free. They are absolutely free. They're an advisor for you. They go out and look at all the plans across the U.S. to find out what's best for you. And guess what? Sometimes you may be on the best plan, but you know what? Here's what's crazy. The average American who uses Chapter saves $1,100. We're just talking about the preparing for the worst. We're talking about the dangers of our economy. If all of a sudden you can save $1,100 by making a 15-minute phone call, that's a game changer. So if you're 65 and older, about to be, or you're doubting what you have and making sure you have the right coverage, check with Chapter. I promise you, they're a phenomenal company and they will help you. I've really grown very fond of this company because they've helped so many of my listeners. Check them out today. Call Chapter. Now, before I give you this warning, and this is a serious warning from the White House, I want to read a few things that took place, and this again proves my point of what this warning is, and it brings up the fact that, I mean, we're living in a time where if the White House warns us of this situation, especially Trump, I think this is a thing that we should heed. Listen to this. Dearborn mayor refuses to apologize for telling a Christian minister he is not welcome. So again, we see our area is being taken over. We talked about this yesterday and the day before. Another story, Kash Patel, FBI director. This morning, just before 7 a.m., there was an individual that shot multiple rounds into the Dallas, Texas ICE, again, killing one, wounding several others, and before taking his own life. His goal was to be anti-ICE. This is from a guy that FBI should investigate. This was shared by Libs of TikTok. This man said, after President Trump ends his term, we will hunt down all these ICE agents and also law enforcement agencies that helped Trump deport. They're threatening. You can't win with this Democratic side. Let's keep on going. This may be a coincidence, like we talked about yesterday. 3 suspects arrested in Texas. Youth baseball coach was shot. He was happened to give a prayer at a youth baseball game. And the 3 guys who just accidentally shot him were Mahmoud Abdislam, Ahmad Mahad, Mustafa Muhammad Moscow. They said they were just shooting 600-700 yards just on the other side of the field and happened to shoot this guy while he was praying. And what do we see? We're seeing a Christian minister pushed out. We're seeing the rhetoric from the left getting even more violent. And now we see Muslims taking up arms, shooting 600-700 yards, they're saying, but ultimately hitting a Christian pastor while he was praying at a game. I love what Laura Loomer said about this conversation. This leads me right to the warning, too. So is anyone going to ask why 3 Muslim men were shooting guns in a nearby Texas field? Are they training for something? Are they training for something? And all of a sudden they coincidentally shoot a Christian man who was praying with kids? Now that brings me up to something we need to pay attention to. If you remember last week, Trump said we need to take Bagram. We're worried about taking Bagram over. Now, I don't believe we should be in forever wars, but I don't believe we should ever have let Bagram go. They said it cost us, hundreds of billions of dollars. We left all our infrastructure there, and ultimately that was a very, very big thoroughfare for our military to even work in the Middle East. It was a stupid move. Blame Biden. And all of a sudden it made Al-Qaeda, it made Taliban, it made all these forces stronger because they got all our equipment. Now, Syria's leader just came here, who was literally the Al-Qaeda leader up until he became Syrian leader. Met with Trump. He was just on the terror watch list and a big reward on his head just a few years ago. What are we allowing in our country? Here is the warning. This came from the White House. It says, United States White House has issued a warning to law enforcement and government officials, announcing there's an increased threat from Al-Qaeda launching attacks within the U.S. Now, what did we say about the Texas situation? They were shooting 600 or 700 yards. What we talked about with the Dearborn, Michigan situation where they banned the Christian minister out of their town. You know what else? Canada just had an attack on their infrastructure and arrested again, let's read his name just so we're all aware of it. The man charged with trying to take and access all bank profiles of several big players in Canada and in America is named Ibrahim E. Hakim. That doesn't sound too American or too Canadian. Sounds a little bit more Middle Eastern, huh? Let's listen to this. There was another share by Andy No says, Antifa is working alongside other leftist organizations to then infiltrate and hurt and harm more of Americans. Listen to this. This comes from National Security Division. Man arrested and charged with attempting to provide Al-Qaeda with weapons. Learning how to 3D print weapons. The criminal complaint came from an unsealed document in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he was trying to help have terror in America. His radical Islam is a Trojan horse in the U.S. and all of Europe. They are using religion as a cover to hide their ideology, but ultimately their goal is to conquer Europe, Canada, and the U.S. and all of Western civilization. They've done it pretty much in Europe, by the way. Due to Biden's open border policies, tens of millions of unvetted illegal aliens entered this U.S. Biden and his crew let the sleeper cells hit, and now they are ready to attack. So now you hear Trump talking about Bagram and Afghanistan. You knew there had to be a purpose. Trump just doesn't say this kind of stuff because he's not forever war. It shows that he knows that he's got to figure out how to cut the head of the snake off. Because if not, he is seeing our country infiltrated. You better be careful where you go. Their warning was saying, look, be careful, be very wary. They were basically saying, watch your surroundings, because they said everywhere that you're putting yourself in, there could be some major dangers there because of what's happening. Oklahoma, the reddest state in our union, just busted a guy who was wanting to have U.S. sales here, causing problems. Along with the fact that you have J.B. Pritzker and some of these saying that they don't like ICE and they're pushing for Antifa to keep having rights. Rights to what? Be a terror organization? What if all of a sudden just like Andy No said, what if all of a sudden you start seeing these groups come together? There was a Muslim cleric said, remember 2 weeks ago, I made a video about it. He said that if we can learn to utilize the left because they can be easily swayed. We can make them believe anything. Even when we don't respect them and we don't believe in them, they're willing to stand with us even though they know that they would have a death sentence in our countries and with our religion. But he said they're so easily manipulated, we can turn them. How dangerous is this? This is not just an attack on the right, which is mostly on the right, but I laugh because Kamala Harris went to her first initial book tour appearance, and a pro-Palestine rally went off and pretty much caused a disruption for the whole thing. It was pretty much blown. These people are going to take over our country if we're not careful. All right, these two warnings, they're huge. J.D. Vance comes out and states the same thing. He says, we've got to stop all of this right now. If we don't, this political violence is going to keep on getting worse. This violence against us is going to get worse. He even called out, named names, J.B. Pritzker and Gavin Newsom, told them to go straight to Hades because of what they're doing. They're spewing rhetoric that is causing for these mentally ill people on the left and to take up arms and ultimately work alongside people like the Muslims to ultimately destroy America. We've got to stop this. So the government shutdown is a big deal, but not nearly as big as the fact that now we're busting Al-Qaeda back on our grounds. You wonder why the open borders were a problem? Yeah, we need to deport people who were here illegally that shouldn't be here. But more than that, we allow for sleeper cells to be right here in our backyards. Pay attention. I'm telling you, stay vigilant, be prepared, and know that this is happening. Whether you like it or not, you can put your head in the sand. That doesn't change what's happening around you. I have a lot of people who's like, oh, everything's better. Dude, if gold keeps going up like it is, that shows our dollar is not doing well. If the market keeps going up on falsities, on the fact that our money's really not doing that well, but ultimately they know that they can keep printing money because your Congress is still doing that, just be very, very careful. All of a sudden, one spark of something, like yesterday, that major SIM card situation that would have shut down all telecommunications in the New York City area, but also they said it was enough to basically destroy our grid when it comes to telecommunications across America. We're living in a time where we could wake up and everything could be different. Be ready for it. Stay prepared. Last night I laughed because we were making it was like a soup and sandwich night. And I made one of the preppers soups. And one of my kids were like, this is not that good. And I said, I know, but we're going to utilize what we have. And, we bought new stock and some of the old stuff. The thing is this, at least I have the food. At least I have access to the water. At least we have the Second Amendment. At least we have the brass that goes in them. Slowly but surely some of this stuff's getting taken away. You better pay attention to these last few days of stories. Go back and watch them if you hadn't, about Bill Gates and the meat and water. How some of these people are trying to take those things away from you. Pay attention, because we're going to need it when you have guys who are wanting to work alongside terrorists to hurt us in America. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. God bless.